says prepping. Hello, and welcome to SPARC Expert Chats. I'm Rachel Marks, the Rezo SPARC Network Coordinator. Oh, say network twice there. And welcome to our monthly expert chat. I am joining you today from what is currently referred to as Leeds and Grenville County, but is actually the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, Mississauga, and Algonquin peoples. This area is covered under the Crawford Purchase of 1783. Today, we have the privilege of joining together virtually and using technology that is steeped in the colonial mindset and that continues to marginalize Indigenous communities around the province. The need for better access to internet and technology in our Indigenous communities is ongoing and something we should all take a moment to consider and try to assist in bringing about. In light of the recent discoveries of the unmarked graves of Indigenous children, first in Kamloops and now across the rest of the country, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that this shouldn't be shocking to me. My privilege has allowed me to not clearly see this part of our collective story, and I will continue to seek ways to further educate myself and others and to be a better ally. This is a time where we can change history, and I'd like to share with you this evening a story out of the city of Kingston, just south of where I'm located, and the positive action that has happened there in the past 10 days. Starting with a peaceful gathering of Indigenous and non-Indigenous residents, the keeping of a sacred fire, the sharing of stories, songs, and drumming. This peaceful collective impacted the city council, and within 1 week, the statue of John A. Macdonald in City Park in Kingston was voted to be removed, and the very next day, it was actually taken down. This was a huge step towards the healing in our community, and I am filled with hope that it is only the first of many small steps that we can all take towards reconciliation. Tonight, we are joined by Maxine Morrell-West from the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. Maxine will be sharing information with us on the Safe Travel Stamp. Welcome, Maxine.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us, Rachel. I'm going to share my screen now.
Great, thank you. Maxine is going to lead us through a presentation, and I am going to mute myself.
So thank you so much, Rachel, again for having me today, and thank you for SPARC. I'm really happy to be here today to talk to you about the Safe Travel Stamp. Again, my name is Maxine Morrell-West, and I'm the Stakeholder Relations Manager for TIAO, the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. I've been with TIAO for the past 16 months, and I was brought on to support not only TIAO, but also to support our tourism stakeholders during this very challenging time. We know 2020 was a challenging year for us, and of course this year is no different. And we've all had to adapt to this new normal in our daily lives, and the tourism, culinary, and hospitality industries have been brutally exposed to a new reality. The unprecedented challenges that face our industry have been exposed for everyone to see. We were hit the hardest and the fastest, and we're going to have the steepest hill to climb in recovery. There are some positives that have come from this pandemic, hard to believe, but yes, there have been some positives. These challenges our industry have been facing have educated the government of the importance of tourism and the work we do for our industry. They've revealed how much progress we've made and the benefits our work on the entire economy. The inner resolve and innovation at the heart of our industry leaves us with a feeling of hope for the future, despite the challenges that definitely lie ahead for us. Today, I wanted to speak to you about the importance of our work with the World Travel and Tourism Council, or the WTTC, and the implementation of the Safe Travel Stamp and its role in rebuilding consumer confidence, which is essential to the overall economic recovery of our province. We're happy to take any questions that you may have following this presentation. So some of you may not be familiar with who TIAO is, so I wanted to show you a short video about that too.
Tourism is the economic driver of Ontario's economy, and TIAO is the authoritative voice of Ontario's tourism industry. Year after year, tourism has continued to grow and become an integral part of both our provincial and national economies. Tourism employs 1.9 million Canadians, 1 in 10 of our entire workforce, and over 720,000 of those jobs are directly attributable to spending by international visitors. In Ontario alone, 65% of businesses saw their operations grow in size between 2018 and 2019, helping to build an industry that supported 200,000 businesses and 400,000 jobs. Tourism was responsible for the livelihoods of 5.5% of Ontarians, created almost 4% of all provincial tax revenues, and was the catalyst of a $36 billion industry. Then, almost overnight, our industry was plunged into uncertainty. With significant revenue losses due to lockdowns, stay-at-home orders, and business restrictions, tourism businesses have faced the perfect storm of rising operation costs paired with consumer uncertainty. We know it has been an unimaginable year, and know that we still have a long way to go. TIAO will continue to support you every step of the way, because TIAO works for you. It works for every Ontarian who owns, runs, or works for a tourism business in our province. Listening to you, over 185 stakeholder calls, working with you to create member-driven and evidence-based policy recommendations, supporting you with member briefings that get the breaking news to you first, fighting for you, promoting tourism in the national media, working to ensure that tourism receives recognition as the economic driver that it is. Trusted by industry with over 1,350 members and growing, you make your voice heard with politicians and policymakers. Throughout this crisis, TIAO has represented the tourism industry at over 500 meetings with government ministers, MPPs, and senior staff, ensuring our sector has a seat at the decision-making table. We've led the way on industry research, advocacy, and policy making, and have won key victories for the tourism industry, including the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, Highly Affected Sectors Credit Availability Program, the Ontario Small Businesses Support Grant, the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy, Northern Ontario Tax Relief, the Canada Emergency Business Account, the Northern Ontario Recovery Program, and the Ontario Travel Tax Credit that will fuel our recovery. But there is still so much more to do together, and we are not slowing down. We know that our industry is hurting, and TIAO will keep fighting for you and with you, the innovators, the job creators, and the experience makers. All of you will not only rebuild our industry, but make it better. Join us as we continue being your voice, because tourism creates jobs. Tourism drives the economy. Tourism is our future.
So you got to see a little bit of who we are and what our role has been within the tourism industry. TIAO is a membership-based organization that represents tourism businesses of every size across all of Ontario. So our members vary anything from iconic attractions such as the CN Tower to theater companies, to performing arts, as Rachel's probably talked about, as well as a small family-run bed and breakfast in Northern Ontario. So we have the full gamut of members. We're very fortunate over the last little while we've been able to offer complimentary membership to the industry in 2020 and now in 2021. So we went from having about 300 members to now having close to 1,600 members. So it's been great to be able to support the tourism sector during this time. Prior to March of 2020, TIAO's ultimate priority had been working to create the regulatory and public policy environment for tourism to continue to grow. We had member-led policy files on housing, jobs and skills, red tape reduction, transportation and infrastructure, and the environment. Year on year, TIAO has grown, and we are now viewed as the definitive, authoritative voice of the tourism industry in Ontario. The values of innovation and creativity, collaboration and teamwork, inclusion and diversity, and trust and integrity are important to not only TIAO, but the entire industry. Pre-COVID-19, tourism in Ontario and Canada as a whole had been experiencing a period of exponential growth. In 2019, it was reported that 748,000 jobs in Canada were supported by the tourism industry alone. In Ontario specifically, TIAO's own research has highlighted that 65% of businesses saw an increase in their revenues between 2018 and 2019. Tourism was providing 5.5% of all jobs in Ontario, 3.8% of total provincial tax revenues, and employed over 3 times as many people as the automotive industry. In total, tourism in Ontario was a $36 billion industry, sustaining 200,000 businesses and 400,000 jobs. The impact of COVID-19 on the wider economy has been severe. The activities that we've taken for granted, such as going to a performing arts performance, has disappeared from our daily lives. While some industries by their nature have been able to thrive during COVID-19, the tourism and hospitality industry has suffered a perfect storm of closures. We've seen restrictions and of course, plunging consumer confidence. The average revenue losses for our members has been about 69%, and over a third it's been about 90%, meaning that 81% of tourism businesses have been forced to take advantage of at least one government support program. The severity of the last 15 or 16 months means that 71% of businesses now say that they would have closed permanently without some kind of government support. And it's these statistics that shape TIAO's response to the crisis, pushing the provincial and federal governments for key economic packages, and our focus has been on solvency. Rebuilding consumer confidence is essential to Ontario's economic recovery. We know it's not going to be a quick fix. We know it's going to be a long process, but it's not one we haven't had at the top of our mind for the entirety of this pandemic. We all know firsthand tourism businesses have endured a set of unique and severe consequences during this pandemic, unlike any other sector. Mandated by government officials to shut down, we've had to operate at limited capacity, being told that we can open and then having to shut down again, weeks or days later. This has also had an impact on consumer confidence, which has already been at a record low. With close to zero revenue due to lockdowns and the stay-at-home orders and limited capacity, tourism businesses have had to face the perfect storm of rising costs and uncertainty for consumers. No other industry has fared worse than tourism and hospitality. We face an ongoing, unprecedented health crisis, and one that has created an economic crisis for the tourism industry, and which could lead to thousands of businesses closing and also hundreds of thousands of jobs being lost. Rebuilding consumer confidence will have a rippling effect. It will support visitor spending, it will create jobs, and it will protect our workforce. The WTTC, or the World Travel and Tourism Council, their mission is to maximize the inclusive and sustainable growth potential of the travel and tourism sector by partnering with governments, destinations, communities, and other stakeholders like ourselves to drive economic development, create jobs, and get a deeper understanding of our world. TIAO's work with the WTTC started long before COVID-19 and has become an essential partner in the tourism industry's road to recovery. Pre-COVID-19, we had been working with WTTC on issues surrounding the environment, climate change, and sustainability. But in the early weeks of the crisis, TIAO was invited to sit on the WTTC's COVID-19 task force. We were brought together to answer some of the questions that not only people around the world have been asking, but our own members had been raising with us since January of last year. Before the epidemic became a pandemic, we witnessed the speed in which consumer confidence can be damaged by events across the world. Even before the first COVID-19 case was reported or confirmed in January of last year, a pattern of postponements and cancellations had already emerged. TIAO was inundated by members contacting us about COVID-19. What protocols should they follow? How could they reassure their customers that they're taking the necessary means to run a clean and safe business? If we learned from one thing from this crisis is that every business, no matter the type of size, everyone needs some support during this time. In a crisis, when your business is on the line, people or businesses need accurate and reliable information. And it's been great that we've been able to offer that to them. In addition to the practical support that WTTC was offering to the industry, it was also bringing the industry together to put pressure on world leaders to acknowledge the impact of COVID-19 on the industry worldwide. Thanks to the information we were collecting, we were able to give the Canadian perspective on what was happening on the front line. Our relationship with the WTTC has continued to work towards practical steps to supporting our industry through this new normal. A large component of this relationship during the pandemic has been the rollout of the Safe Travel Stamp. The Safe Travel Stamp was developed to help restore confidence in travelers, and the stamp recognizes destinations around the world that have adopted standardized global health and hygiene protocols so visitors can experience a safe travel. So no matter where a customer is traveling throughout the world and they see the Safe Travel Stamp, they're going to know that they're going to experience a safe experience while they're there. In addition to this, it's also received the backing of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, and it's been embraced by more than 200 CEOs of major tourism groups. So I wanted to share with you the importance of the Safe Travel Stamp in the economic recovery of our industry. To make things as easy as possible, if you go to our website, www.tiaontario.ca, there is a tab on our website for Safe Travel Stamp. And on there, we've put together a training document or a how-to document on how to complete the Safe Travel Stamp application. The WTTC, in conjunction with the industry, has created this self-certified Safe Travel Stamp based on worldwide industry protocols. And the WTTC themselves have put together a number of protocols or guidelines for the hospitality and tourism sector. And if you visit their website, you'll see a number of protocols, which I'll talk about in a little bit. This specially designed stamp allows travelers to recognize governments and companies around the world which have adopted global standardized health and hygiene protocols. So again, your consumers or your visitors will experience a safe travel. We're pleased to say that the Safe Travel Stamp program has been well received and successful since its launch. 275 destinations have already received the stamp worldwide. And through TIAO, we launched it, I would say the end of August, around beginning of September, around the Labor Day weekend. And to date, we've awarded about 1,600 stamps to local tourism businesses, mainly within Ontario, but we have also awarded some within BC, Manitoba, and Alberta as well, and Quebec. So we've been authorized to approve a number of applications throughout the whole country, so not just in Ontario as well. So who can qualify for this stamp? We've had companies apply such as hotels, we've had restaurants, tour operators, attractions, performing arts companies, short-term rentals, car rental companies. We've had the full gamut, again, apply for the Safe Travel Stamp. And again, all you need to show is that you're following proper standardized health and hygiene protocols. So again, when you visit our website, www.tiaontario.ca, you'll see the application. The how-to guide is available not only in English, but as well as in French. And the application is also available in French and English. When you see the application on our website, again, on the Safe Travel Stamp tab, you're just going to download the application. You'll need to save it, complete it, save it again, and then you'll forward it to our email, which is also on the application form itself. And we take you through these steps because there's many times where people have tried to complete the application form online, and by the time they email it to us, it's actually a blank form. So it's important for you to download it first before you complete it. So I just wanted to get into the details of the actual application. Again, it's quite simple to complete. It's a one-page application. It shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes to complete. The application form is going to ask you for the main contact's first and last name. And if you are filling it on behalf of someone else, we ask that you make sure that they understand what you've completed, and in case we need to reach back out to them about the actual stamp. You're going to include their email address as well, because we often send out communications as well as protocols and things are changing or any updates. You're going to add the organization's name or the business name. I've received many applications where the business name is missing, so ensure that you do put your actual business name. One of the #1 questions we get is, do I need to be a TIAO member in order to be awarded the Safe Travel Stamp? And the answer is no. But of course, there are benefits of being a TIAO member. We have a number of events that take place through the year. You also get to network with other, like-minded stakeholders as well. And of course, you'll get to be a voice that contributes to influence in favorable public policy and decision-making by government. There's a number of other benefits as well, but you can reach out to us if you are interested in becoming a member. But again, you do not need to be a member in order to be awarded the Safe Travel stamp. In addition to that, so the form itself is a fillable PDF. And so this is an example of what the actual form looks like completed. You're going to also indicate whether you're an association, a destination, or a company. When we say destination, we're referring to if you represent a destination marketing organization, like a tourism, a Tourism Toronto or a Tourism Windsor Essex. If you represent a city or a town or a DMO or a destination marketing organization, then you would check off a destination. But in this case, you would be checking off company, most likely your performing arts venue or company. Then you're going to add your website as well, and of course your full address as well, because again, we may be communicating to you at a later date, and we're in the process of as well as creating decals that we're going to be mailing out to all the businesses that have been awarded the Safe Travel stamp. So there is no cost to apply for the Safe Travel stamp. That's another common question we get. It is completely complimentary. Again, you just need to complete the full application in order to be awarded the stamp. So I mentioned several times that about standardized health and hygiene protocols. So there are a number of protocols that have been developed by the industry. Some of them are sector specific, but in this case, I'm just going to talk to you about the WTTC. They've created a number of protocols themselves, which provide insights and toolkits for interaction and implementation to ensure that people are feeling safe. These protocols provide standards to ensure the safety not of only its workforce, but also visitors or travelers. And also we should note that the protocols take into account current World Health Organization, or the WHO, and the Center for Disease Control's guidelines. Their protocols, which is on their website, they have a number of protocols there, one on hospitality, they have one on short-term rentals, outdoor shopping, airlines, attractions, events. And so you can review their protocols as well. And if you're closely following one of their protocols or their guidelines, you can just indicate that on the application. Understand that with WTTC, as we learn more and more about COVID-19, these are living documents, so they're constantly updated as well. Another program I want to talk to you about is the Post Promise. And the Post Promise is a national program, so it's Canada-wide. And it signifies a commitment to implement and practice 5 key steps to workplace safety, helping to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So this is another protocol or guideline that's asked on the application. So you just need to go onto the Post Promise website, complete it. You'll get a certificate to indicate you've made a commitment to the Post Promise. And then you can just go back to our application and indicate that you've made a commitment to the Post Promise. In addition to that, you can also indicate that you're just following but you are following your local health protocols as well. So you just indicate your city's public health protocols that you're closely following, because as we know, your own local health protocols trump anything else. And then again, as I mentioned, there are a number of sectors that have produced their own protocols as well. And so if there's one specific to you, you can indicate that as well, as long as they've been vetted by a public health authority. So once you've completed the application, again, you'll just email it to us, and the email address is on our website and as well as on the application. You'll email it to us. You'll receive a confirmation email from us stating that you'll receive a confirmation that we received it. Approvals take anywhere from 3 to 5 business days, but most times it's within 3 business days. And once you're approved, we'll email you a link where you can download 2 versions of the stamp, which is going to be available in 3 different formats. And the 2 versions are the one that you've seen throughout this presentation, but we also have another version of the stamp where you can add your logo, insert your logo right next to TIAO and the WTTC's logo as well. Just know that the TIAO logo must remain intact on all versions of the logo, which is also communicated to you once you're approved. So Outside of our partnerships with TIAO, outside of our partnerships, TIAO's also done its own work to try and rebuild consumer confidence. We know that international travel will be on hold for some time, but if we can redirect even a small number of those who usually would travel internationally to now travel within Ontario, we know it can make a huge difference to the sustainability and solvency of our tourism industry. And of course, we want to monopolize the announcement of the implementation of the 20% tax credit by the Ontario government that was announced in their budget. TIAO's worked with destinations and attractions to create its own videos to encourage Ontarians to travel within their own backyards. And when more restrictions have been lifted, we're hoping to be able to share those short videos with you as well. So we can't talk about rebuilding consumer confidence and the recovery of the tourism industry without talking about some of the government relations that we've been involved with as well. So to put into perspective for you, 2/3 of our businesses state that they would have been shut down if they had not had government support programs. 71% of businesses have accessed some sort of government assistance. And nationwide, the unemployment rate has fallen to 11%. Within the tourism industry, though, it's significantly higher at about 17%. And so these stats are why the team at TIAO has been advocating for our industry at an exponential level. Tourism, as early as March 2020, TIAO has been one of the first organizations calling for wage and rent subsidies and direct access to credit. And so this is some of the programs that you've been seeing or that you've hopefully gotten some support from that we've been closely involved in as well and have been advocating for. So things like SUS and CIRCA, which is the commercial rent assistance, which then also became the rent subsidy program. So we've been involved in a lot of those things as well as HASCAP. And we realized that there have been some restrictions and some issues and some gaps where some businesses have fallen between the gaps as well, where they've not been eligible for some of these supports. And we've been fighting and advocating for that as well. Provincially, we've also built new coalitions with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce and the CFIB, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, and we've been lobbying with them on behalf of the tourism industry. Excuse me. So uncertainty still remains the most significant challenge to our industry moving forward. Uncertainty on whether government support programs will continue into 2022, which is something we are advocating for, and the speed of which these government restrictions will be lifted when interprovincial travel, we've already started to see some of that being lifted, but when we start to see more interprovincial travel, and of course, when our borders are fully open. The reality is that you can't expect an economic recovery without first supporting the tourism and hospitality industries, and that you cannot have a thriving tourism and hospitality industry without a consumer. So again, thank you so much for your time today. And Rachel and I are happy to take any questions that you may have.
Maxine, thank you so much. That was great. I want to just say thank you. Thank you to TIAO for advocating and continuing to advocate for us. I know out there, some of our members might say, well, we're in performing arts. How is that tourism? But it's cultural tourism, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, and people are relying on us, like, you know, I'm really close to Gananoque, so I'm close to the Thousand Islands Playhouse. So somebody buys a ticket to the show and then they end up staying overnight, like my parents. They'll stay overnight a couple nights at a hotel. They'll go out for dinner and breakfast and lunch. They'll do the cruise. Like, we're part of the ecosystem, the tourism ecosystem. So
100%. I've traveled just for theater or performing arts production, right? So it's 100% part of tourism.
Thank you so much. Okay, so before we get into the questions that we had sent ahead, I have a question here from one of our members, and they're asking, is this something which can be used by not-for-profits, for example, amateur theater groups, or even art galleries?
Anyone that is a tourism business, regardless of their size, even amateur, yes, any theater production and performing arts company for sure. We've had all sizes actually apply for the staff. But we also were working with, for instance, in Toronto, the Toronto Alliance for the Performing Arts, TAPA. We work very closely with them in trying to get all of their shows on board. So we've been working very closely with the performing arts industry, or sector. So yes, for sure, please apply.
Yeah, that's great. And I just wanted to say too, like, it's amazing that you don't have to be a member to apply, but I also picked up that you said that membership is free this year. So just throwing that out there to everybody. That
For
might
sure.
be a really great step into, you know, joining a network and a community that can speak on your behalf. And, you know, we need people, we need bums in seats. We need people back in the theaters. And, you know, I think this program is a great way to go about that. So I have a few.
And I just wanted to say with membership, it's valid 1 year from the day that you apply. So it's not just 2021. If you apply today, it's valid 1 year. So it would be June to 2022.
That's really great to know. Thank
Mhm.
you. And
Yeah.
also 1,600 stamps in September. That's
Yes,
amazing.
yes,
That's
we're very
really great.
proud.
Yeah, you
And
should
thanks
be.
to you and others who've been spreading the word. We've been working with a lot of destination marketing organizations and the regional tourism organizations. People have been sharing it through their social networks, through their newsletters. So I encourage all of you to do so as well.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, we have some questions. So I think you kind of already answered this one, but I'm just going to say it out loud anyway. But how recognized is the Safe Travel stamp?
So it is growing in popularity and obviously in awareness within Canada through our efforts. And there's two other associations within Canada that are also members of the WTTC that have also been pushing it. We've not done as much as we had liked because we were kind of holding back, obviously, with restrictions in place, but we will be doing a bigger campaign at some point. So stay tuned for that. But again, it's been recognized. 275 countries around the world have already received it. And in addition to that, I'm sure they're getting their businesses on board as well, just like how we are as well. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
And I'm sure that with everything reopening, is it just 2 weeks ago now or 3 weeks ago? It
Yeah,
was
I think it's
14.
about there.
So
Yeah.
yeah, not even 10 days actually. I'm sure you'll see a pickup. Like, do you anticipate a pickup?
Yes, definitely. And, you know, again, we'll probably be doing another push on it. And again, we're going to, now that restrictions are starting to lift, we're going to be doing more like, I wasn't able to show you a video today, but we've done some consumer sentiment videos to get the word out there as well. And and again, we're going to be doing a consumer campaign at some point as well. So definitely getting the word out there.
That's amazing. Great. So I'm going to move on to our next question, which I already admitted to you is my question, but I think it really impacts a lot of our members because our members are artists and presenters and community animators. So those people that live in a community that bring events to their community, right? So we don't always have a brick and mortar home, some of our companies. So you know, we're a theater company that's using someone else's space. Is it still advantageous for us to get the Safe Travel stamp for our performances? And will it make our audiences feel more comfortable to return to our shows?
100%. We've had the actual venues apply, but we've also had theater production companies apply as well that may be moving from venue to venue. So I highly recommend that, you know, obviously you as a production company would also get it, but encourage the venues that you're using as well to also get it. You want consumers to not only feel safe, but of course your staff and, you know, whether it's your crew, your actors, whatever, to also know that you're following proper health and hygiene protocols and that you want to keep them and consumers safe.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up because so often we do focus on the consumer end, but you know, 1 in 4 Canadians will have an anxiety disorder at some point in their life. And I'm sure this pandemic is the time that that's coming up for a lot of people. And so going back into the workforce can be quite terrifying for some people, I think. So, so great. Okay, I'm going to move us on to our next question. So how can we encourage our local establishments to get the Safe Travel stamp? So like here we have a community hall and they put on some concerts and like a fish fry every now and then. How can I encourage them to get the stamp?
So if showing them, you know, we have a full list on our website with all of the people that have received the stamp. So if you can show them similar businesses themselves, maybe their competitors or their partners that they've been working with, they can see that other businesses like themselves already received the stamp, why not? You're not losing, there's no cost to it. And again, it'll probably take 5 to 10 minutes of their time to complete. And it's just another assurance for their visitors to know that they are following these proper health and hygiene protocols. And it's not only just a local thing, it's a global program as well. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. I'm just going to remind everybody watching that I'm looking over here at my phone to answer your questions. So please feel free to type them in. And as I say that, we have another question. So it's, I think, a follow-up to that first question from the group. And likely municipally owned museums and other facilities would be eligible.
100%. We've already had that, have them apply. Yes.
Great. I know some of our arts councils are volunteers, and some of the folks from that work for municipalities, or the theaters, the venues themselves are run by municipalities. Yep. So they can encourage them as a destination. Is that right? The municipality?
Yeah, or the municipality. We've had municipalities apply and list all that fall under their umbrella. And we've had them apply for that as well too. So we encourage
that's
them.
Really good to know. So I could put in one application and list, everyone.
And if not, you can do them individually, or if there's space, you can do them in one, as long as, which I'm sure they are, following the same health and hygiene protocols, and it's the same address, because again, we're working on getting decals to you at some point in the next few weeks, we hope. So if you want to list, we could send it all to the one address, but if you like them all sent to a different place, then I would encourage a separate application. But again, it can be done in one, as long as you list out who it's covering.
Great. That's really good to know. Thank you. Okay. And you have answered this one, but I'm just going to ask it again. So who benefits from having the stamp?
Everyone benefits. So not only the consumer benefits, knowing that they're entering an establishment that cares about their safety and that they're following proper health and safety protocols. The business also benefits, their employers benefit, because they know that their employer is taking this seriously, their health and hygiene seriously as well. And as you get more people coming through your door, you're definitely going to be benefiting economically as well, as you get more people through, right? So knowing that you're taking their health and safety seriously is definitely going to benefit you in the long run. And of course, on the road to economic recovery for you as well.
That's great. I was even just thinking, like, around where I live and in many rural communities, we have chip trucks instead of restaurants, right? But like, yeah, why couldn't they apply? Why
had a chip truck apply already, or a food truck apply? So yes, by all means.
That's great. And so a lot of our performances are outside, and or will be outside this year. People have already sort of started planning for that. Is there any sort of difference between an outdoor event or performance versus an indoor, or
there's no difference really. No matter whether you're performing indoor or outdoor, there's going to be certain health and hygiene protocols you're going to have to follow, whether it's they're wearing masks or they're properly distanced. So no, it's not really going to make a difference. Obviously there's different conditions indoor versus outdoors, but no, we've had events and festivals apply already. So a lot of them are going to be outdoors, right? So yes, 100% in or out, please apply.
That's really great to hear too, that you've had festivals applying, because we know when the festivals and the events start coming back, that's a really positive sign for every industry that is associated with that. Again, we spoke earlier, like if you're going to a festival, you're probably staying overnight, you're probably buying gas, eating out, stopping at the convenience store, buying a little trinket, like, who knows, right? So that's great. Okay, I had written down some notes while we were talking, and I think we've asked all of those. So is the stamp something that we have to reapply for seasonally or annually, or do we know yet?
That's a good question. And no, unless something changes, but at this point, no. When you apply, it's a one-time, you have it for life in a sense. And you're applying for this, that you're taking accountability, that you're going to be following these health and hygiene protocols, not just for the short term, but for the long term as well. So you're going to be held accountable. and I say that because we do have standard operating procedures in place as well, to ensure that we're not here to police you. And if someone, we have these standard operating procedures in place in case someone comes to us. So we've had one incident already, where a consumer witnessed something at a business and they felt they weren't following proper health and hygiene protocols. So in that case, we had to contact the business to gather more information. And we found out they were aware of this case because apparently a video had gone viral. And so they were aware of this and had to, public health came in, investigated, and said, no, they were following proper health and hygiene. What the person saw was not what they perceived it was. And so they were following proper health and hygiene protocols. They got a report from public health that they were able to share with us. So I went off for a little bit, but yes, you get what I'm trying to say is that.
No, I think that's good. I mean, we do live in a time period where people video things or get, and sometimes really for the common good, and other times not.
Yeah.
And as you said, perception, right, is different, but it's great that they can say like, no, we followed this procedure. Here's our report. Like we did what we needed to do.
We did everything that we needed to do. And so, yeah, so again, it is a lifetime stamp unless something changes that we're not aware of at this time, but you know, we understand it's going to be a lifetime stamp. And again, you just need to be upholding what you indicated on your application of the safe and child, the protocols that you are following. So
that's great. So it's a commitment that we're making. We are making
Exactly.
the commitment to follow the regulations and be good citizens, right?
Exactly.
That's great. Okay, we've just got a few, yeah. Okay, so it's summer. We're getting ready to start traveling again, like as individuals. Should we as tourists and consumers be looking for the safe travel stamp?
100%. And I realize and I recognize there are some great businesses out there that probably haven't applied yet. But it's an added bonus to see that and knowing that when you go into this establishment and you see whether it's their decal or on their website, if you visited prior to visiting them in person, that you know that they take, again, your health and safety seriously. So they have implemented health and safety protocols internally, but they also gone the extra step of getting this, filling out this application and getting this accreditation as well. So yes, I definitely hope that you would, it would be an added bonus, but I understand we're just rolling this out, and we hope to have more businesses on board. But yes, definitely, we should definitely be looking for this as more and more, we start to roll this out over the next few months.
That's great. And I have another question for you. You know, in your opinion, as a tourism industry specialist, do you think we're going to recover our tourism industry? Like those are some big numbers you mentioned, 17% of the tourism industry unemployed, like.
Yes, I mean, it's obviously going to be, we're the hardest hit, as I've said before, and we're going to take the longest to recover. But I truly believe that we are going to recover. I don't know how quickly, but I know myself, I'm ready to go back out there when restrictions are lifted. And I'm sure, I know, talking to my friends and family, we're all feeling the same way. So I definitely feel it's going to rebound. People just are itching to get back out there, and can't wait to explore. There's so many beautiful things in Ontario that I haven't had an opportunity to see yet. So I can't wait to get out there.
Yeah, me too. I actually am going to see a show at the Canadian Stage Newman High Park in the middle of July, and I am ready. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so ready to go. Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there one more time. If you have any more questions while we still have Maxine, please put them in the chat. In the meantime, I have been dropping some of your links that you were posting into the chat for people. So I put in the post promise because that was one that you said was important, and of course yours, and then the WTTC.org/COVID-19 travels global protocols.
And if they visit our website, our TIAO website, again, there's the Safe Travel Stamp tab, and it has all of those protocols listed there, links to the WTTC. Thank you so much for doing that though, Rachel, that's really appreciated. But if for some reason they didn't copy that down here, it is all listed on our website as well.
Great. And just once again, like you said, that this application, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to fill out. It's processed within 3 to 5 days.
It's very simple. It might not even take you 10 minutes. I think the hardest part would be downloading the document, to be honest. It shouldn't take you very long. And again, if you're already following your local health and hygiene protocols, your public health protocols, you could just indicate that on the application and off it goes. So it should be quite simple for most people to complete.
That's great. We have a question here, but I'm not sure if it's a question that sort of falls into our realm.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask it anyway. And if it's one that doesn't, then maybe we can direct people to their local health unit. I don't know. But it says, does one need to be vaccinated to be able to be open?
As in a business?
Like the person running the business or working at the business, do they need to be personally vaccinated in order to open their business? I feel like that's probably more for the local health unit.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable answering that.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to the person who asked that, but I do feel like checking with your local health unit would be the way to go on that, because every region's health unit is acting differently, or has different, like the same, but slightly different regulations based on your location.
And they'll be able to advise, because you might have underlying health issues that say that gives you a reason why you cannot be vaccinated. So it may be more complicated than that. And I think that's something they'd have to go to their health unit about.
Yeah, thank you. And again, sorry to the person who asked that we are asking you to check with your health unit, but I don't think either Maxine or I are able to answer that question now. Yes. So do we have any more questions? I'll just sort of throw that out there one more time. They've got a little bit of a delay. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I want to thank you so much for coming today. I first found out about this a couple months ago at the Ontario Culture Days roundtables. There was someone from TIAO there, and they started mentioning the Safe Travel Stamp. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, this could be really beneficial to our members, because a lot of our members are smaller companies, and they're rural and they're remote, and they don't always get an opportunity to become part of a bigger group moving forward and advocating for something. And so thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome.
Today.
I just wanted to say as well, you probably saw it in the video, but I don't know if it was clear. As I mentioned, you don't have to be a member to get the Safe Travel Stamp. Again, we're offering complimentary membership. And every Tuesday, we offer stakeholder calls. We do one for Northern Ontario, and then one for the rest of the province. And so if you sign up for our newsletter on our website, you'll get notification about the stakeholder calls as well. So we do those every Tuesday. So if you had any burning questions, of course, tourism related, that we can answer, whether it's about government supports or whatever, you're just not sure where to turn. We do these updates every Tuesday. So we'll give an update of what we've been doing, our efforts, what's new, any new programs that have been announced, but it's also your opportunity as well to ask us of any questions as well. So we invite you to come it's most Tuesdays. I would say almost every Tuesday we have these as well. So we'll have one next Tuesday as well.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I just want to reiterate one last time that the Safe Travel Stamp is free. So you're not actually losing anything by applying. You are gaining only.
100%.
So that is great. Thank you so much for coming today. It looks like we don't have any more questions. I just want to let the members know that we will not be holding expert chats in July and August, because we're hoping you are out there welcoming tourists into your space and being a tourist yourself. So have a great summer, everybody. Have a great summer, Maxine. I hope you get to go and see a show.
Yes, I hope so. I can't wait.
I am going to say goodbye to everyone and stop the live stream. How do I do that? Oh, it's just a button that says stop live stream. Thanks, everyone.